hate the idea of our wasteful culture. I think that just by eliminating, avenues of just the way we discard things, you could find economies in there, I think.
So this is part of why I'm super excited to talk to you, Brandon, because obviously you're a bartender, not just a bartender, excuse me. What's your title?
Director of Discretion.
Director of Discretion. Director of Discretion. The alliteration is throwing me off. But, you never know as an interviewer kind of who you're going to run into. After the conversation I had with my colleague David, and we started chatting with you, and you were kind of running us through drinks, you started chatting, and all of a sudden I was like, who is this modern day philosopher just behind the bar? And I feel like of all the different bars and cocktail lounges and stuff I go to, I always end up noting one of the bartenders just seems to have a deeper purpose in conversations and cocktails. So that's why I was excited to talk to you today. Part of why. So, okay. Why don't we talk a little bit first about Alchemy 48?
Sure.
And how you ended up here with your beautifully alliterative title.
So,
what the hell are you doing here?
This is such a cool spot. A bartending friend of mine. So we were in craft cocktails a few years ago, and one of our friends was checking out the spots in the East Valley, and he was raving about Alchemy 48. And so we came down here at the best time. It was Halloween last season, and so we already have kind of spooky vibes already. And then just imagine that with like some cobwebs, and the escape room was done up like a woodshed. So I didn't know if I was coming in here to get hacked up. It was really fun. And just the atmosphere of the place was really cool. I was looking for a job as a bartender shortly thereafter, and I answered an ad, and I talked to who ended up being TJ. They were going through some management changes. And after sitting down and talking with me, he called me back up and said, do you want to run the place?
Wow.
And I said, yeah. It was a great opportunity for me. It was a step in the right direction. Nobody wants to just bartend forever. So Alchemy and the ownership here have given me a lot of opportunity.
That's awesome. How long have you been here now?
I've been here since March.
Oh, okay.
In total, I believe it's been 2 years since they started this gig. It was almost an afterthought, but once they saw the space, the owner's wife was like, oh, we do something with this.
Awesome.
So, and she did.
She did something for sure. Many somethings.
Yes.
What can you tell me about the vision of Alchemy 48? Why even the name Alchemy 48?
So it's interesting. They didn't consult me on this, but I have my own take, which I'll tell anyone who will listen.
I will listen.
I think I might have shared this with you a little bit last time that we were here. So alchemy actually has its roots from the Egyptian. Egypt is Kemet, land of the black soil. And all of the cool stuff in ancient times were coming out of Egypt. All the technology, all the medicine, all of the building, engineering, politics, everything.
Yeah.
So if something came from Kemet, it was Al-Kemet, the Arabic word coming from the land of the black soil. So the magic basically comes from Kemet, and there we get alchemy. Isn't that fun?
Your brain fascinates me so much. Like, that's not in the about story or mission statement on the website. Like, how does that information just live in your brain?
Oh, me specifically? I mean, I think it's a lucky confluence of events in that they might not have started this specific place with the kind of intent that I might be bringing to it. But, I think we found each other at a good time, and you and I as well. So I'm a seeker of knowledge.
Do you feel like there was a calling here that you kind of answered, like right time, right place kind of thing?
It's really interesting in that I was called here, if you will, because I was unhappy in what I was doing before. And I needed to improve like my situation and like my responsibilities, right?
Sure.
And I had stopped drinking for a few months.
Wow.
And in my mind, in the first week, I'm like, I'm going to be a superhero. Second week, it's like, why am I doing this? And then third week, boom, I get hired as the bar director of my own program.
Wow.
And I never thought it would happen that way or that quickly. But it just goes to show that if, you might not plan for good things to happen, but if you just work on your own situation, sometimes good things do happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I ended up here.
And when you say bar director of your own program, for people that don't necessarily geek out on all things cocktails and bars and speakeasies, what does that actually mean?
Oh, you're pitching me softballs. This is great. I love it.
It's just a warm up.
I never think to talk about me. I guess that's why you're here. No, so what we do, a bar program is actually, we're not talking, necessarily even, I was going to say something pejorative about Applebee's. Even Applebee's has a bar program.
Cracklebee's.
As it were. In a craft cocktail bar, there's a lot more than just, bottles and pouring and jiggers and all of that. Like you have to have a staff that's willing to work for sometimes, competitive and sometimes less than competitive pay, but to do something that we're all passionate about. An example of which would be fresh juices. Most restaurants, most bars, even a lot of high-end bars don't use freshly squeezed citrus. And most people can't tell the difference, but I can. And if you're coming to a place that serves elevated cocktails and you bring your elevated palate, we have to be able to meet those expectations. So what bar program refers to all of our recipes, it refers to our staff, where we curate people as well as cocktails. And like people, we have super talented people who have a lot of experience and they bring that and they bring the passion. And being the director basically gives the responsibility to me to put those things together. Like anyone can put together a book and say, this is how we juice, these are the syrups that we make, these are the recipes that we make. But I mean, you can Google that.
In fact, many people do.
They do. I feel that it's my responsibility to bring in and foster the kind of people who are going to provide that higher level of service, the elevated experience, which culminates in a great cocktail, of course.
Where did this part of you come from, this desire to really cultivate a culture of individuals that are as passionate about what you do? Where did that come from for you?
I feel like personally, I've always been interested in like social development, but I had to come to the stark reality that I was like a pretty selfish person for a long time. And I didn't realize that the greatest value in oneself actually comes from helping others and from cultivating others. Like you can only dig so much out of your own persona, if you will. Like, but none of what we do as a social creature matters if we don't have social connections. It doesn't matter how cool or smart or intelligent or kind or unkind for that matter you are, if it's not reflected in a world of other individuals.
Yeah. Community sounds really important to you.
I think so. And we all live in economies, both large and small, and humans need that.
Yeah.
But no matter how we feel about it nowadays, like we are social animals. We thrive and depend on social connections.
So when it comes to community, I feel like we could be talking about a coffee shop, a church. In this case, we're talking about a bar, a speakeasy.
Sure.
What kind of role does this speakeasy play in terms of developing community here in downtown Mesa?
I think that having a place like this, especially with the vision that I've been given and that we're working on, it adds like a third dimension to what otherwise could be a very bland town. I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's a fair statement. We're not knocking anything. It's a fair statement.
I'm an Arizona native and I've been around this area for most of my life. Wow. And I think that, not only just being underground literally, but we add a different dimension. Main Street is growing up. There's a lot of old standbys, of course, here in Mesa. But what really, to me, makes it special are the different expressions coming from like the mom and pop shops. Yeah. The people who are literally willing to invest in the community. Yeah. So our business, we own a few different concepts and they all vary, right? So we have a coffee shop and that's fun and modern, right? And we have the wine lounge and that's, little upscale, right? And then level one is fun. It's a fun bar. Like everyone on the street knows it. Yeah. You'll meet all kinds of people up there. But what we do is a little bit different. Yeah. Like you were mentioning before, it's a totally different vibe. And we like that. I feel like we add a little bit of class, a little bit of mystery, a little bit of sophistication, if you're willing. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I love the way that we're set up, because just to get in, you have to do a vibe check. When the door closes behind you and you find yourself in an unfamiliar space and the music's changed, the atmosphere's changed, the lighting is changed, right? You're surrounded by a different environment. And to me, that helps prepare you for what you're getting yourself into. Yeah.
Do you know, I have a really big pet peeve about bars. It drives me crazy when I go to a bar and they have great vibes, but mediocre food or stellar food, but really shitty music. Like when your vibes and your quality of service or price, when it's not all aligned and congruent and it feels disjointed, it drives me crazy. If you can't afford to serve the best burger in the world, don't like make a sports bar that has great vibes and give me a shitty burger.
Sure.
And charge me $20 for it. Drives you crazy. The reason I say that is because I feel that this concept and what you just described in that really intentional process of almost shocking people out of their reality for a second and forcing them to slow down for a moment. Yeah, so honestly, I think sometimes we need it. Sometimes, you know, I talk to, let's say, hundreds of strangers a week.
Sure.
And sometimes you need to shake people out of their norm to get them to recognize a new space that they're in. Or maybe
shake is a bad analogy in that a lot of people just need to be toned off for a moment. Right?
My version is
slow
shake.
Down the vibration.
If we can compare our personalities, mine's a shake. Maybe I need to trade you a little bit.
No, I think that the balance is good. Balance is important.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to be shaken up, and sometimes you need to be.
Sometimes you just take someone and sit them and go shh.
Yeah.
I can understand.
A lot of us are out there just vibrating like a tuning fork, and we don't really recognize that.
Do you think most people know what a tuning fork is?
I like to say I would hope so, but
I got the reference. I'll put a picture on the screen. Yeah. Do you have music in your background?
Actually, it's really interesting. My grandfather was an obsessive musician, as well as a lot of my family.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that talent has skipped me. Although, I mean, I like to think I can sing karaoke, but then again, I'm also drinking all that time.
I've heard you drop a couple bars around the bar here. Yeah. You can carry a tune, my friend. More than.
Wait until midnight.
I can understand. I hit karaoke for the first time in a while recently, and it was spicy. But I don't think we have karaoke at the Speakeasy, right? Level 1 does, don't they?
Level 2.
Level 2. Oh no. Speakeasy, level 1, level 2.
Yeah. It's a whole new world.
There's so many levels.
I would say it's an elevated experience, but you're just 2 floors up.
There's a great marketing page in there somewhere. I'm not sure, but I'm here for it. Oh, you said something about elevated palates earlier. You were talking about hand-pressed juices or hand-squeezed juices or whatever. So there's a coffee shop in Apache Junction where I live that is incredible. And the gentleman that owns it has a bartender's background.
Okay.
And so every time I go there, it's now made me like compare the two places because you guys hold yourself to a similar quality of service, quality of ingredients. And I'm just curious. It doesn't feel to me that by providing an elevated ingredient or something targeted for an elevated palate, it doesn't feel like you're shutting people out. It feels like it's still, this space is very accessible, I feel like, to anyone. I'm just curious how you strike that balance because you're right. Like I probably wouldn't know the difference between canned lemon juice and you squeezing it behind the bar. Right. So how do you strike the balance of making it accessible to everyone?
So I mean, I think that's a great question in that it really leads to what we do translating to people, generally speaking, and in being accessible. So imagine if I understood that most people didn't understand the difference, right, between said juice or said cocktail or handmade syrups. You know, they might not know, but I know.
Okay.
But then they might know or will know. Maybe by coming here and having this experience, they're gonna be like, what is different about, this cocktail? And then I can explain, you may be familiar with, insert recipe here, but if you haven't had it with, homemade syrups or tinctures or fresh juices, right, you might not have experienced the full expression of what this could be. And so by keeping what we do elevated, sometimes it can elevate those palates, right? So you could walk in here a noob and then walk out maybe a few weeks later or stumble out somewhat better informed. And I love when we get to curate guests who come back and increase their knowledge every time. Because I feel like that's part of what we do here. We don't just serve drinks.
Who do you think this place was made for?
Specifically Alchemy or just underground bars in general?
Yes.
I think that there are people who are seekers. Most of us are. And in some ways, I think we're all looking to press that dopamine lever, and places that offer novelty,
Yeah.
I think do that, especially. Not only, do we serve alcohol, of course, but we provide a novelty.
Mm.
And what I strive to do and what we do is not just check boxes, right? So if sometimes people will come in like the wrong door, or one of the upstairs bartenders will bring them down when we're not open, I'm like, oh, look at our really cool space. Oh, yeah. Check, really cool space.
Yeah.
But, did you have to wait outside for a moment? Maybe not. Were you led down into our password, if you will, right? Did you figure it out? And then were you led in with the lights down, the music on? Were you then sat, offered water? Were every one of your steps of service met? Were you taken well care of? And then did you get a fantastic cocktail? Those are a lot of boxes to check. Any one of them, to me, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So maybe not why people come here is to check. Maybe why people do come here is to check a box off. Check out this place, for lack of a better term. But I hope that they leave having checked off all of those things and making a three-dimensional experience, right? Because there's what we perceive as what we're seeking, and then there's like the reward that we get for actually finding something special. And what we're trying to do is be that something special. I mean, anybody can put purple on the walls and turn down the lights and make some cocktails.
Velvety chairs.
Right. But any individual one of those things are just going through the motions, right? Like you can Google that shit. But what we're trying to do here is provide like a holistic experience with that thing.
I feel like there's a lot of different, and no shade to any of these individuals. I think there's a thing happening right now with small business owners. Doesn't matter the industry necessarily, but probably food and beverage service, where they're trying to meet the aesthetic trends of the time. And so sometimes I walk into a spot and it's like very Chip and Joanna-y, or, it all kind of starts to look the same. And then there's the one wall with the shiplap and the booth, and you sit and there's a neon sign. And I'm like, sure.
It's just funny that you strung all those things into like a sentence, Chip and Joanna. Aesthetic-y. I'm going to keep that one in my pocket. Yeah, it's sticky, if you will.
This is great. No one typically calls me on my weird vocab, so sometimes it's good to have a mirror. I appreciate that.
I think you probably have a better vocabulary than I do.
I think we both have very different but lovely vocabularies.
I have words that I'm grasping for in the back of my mind, and I think you just grabbed that. And so,
wow, the psychology here is fascinating because I feel the opposite quite frequently.
That's how you know you're alive.
I just have these like file folders in my brain that. And I will say, a nice cocktail always helps me slow it down a little bit.
Kind of tone that vibration down just a little bit.
Yeah. Tell me about some of the conversations you have in this space. Not always behind the bar, but I'm sure you chat with people all the time. What are people talking about when they come in?
Something that I don't think a lot of people expect, especially a lot of, like, there's expectations and then there's realities, right? I love that we can provide service. I love that we can provide a great atmosphere and a place, I love that we can provide a vibe, if you will. And also we do craft cocktails and classics, and it's fun and they're delicious and it's amazing. But what I like to do is kind of crack open the nut a little bit with people. A lot of times it's me doing a lot of the talking, and a lot of people are fine with that.
Yeah.
But what's really rewarding for me is being able to turn that a little bit, like not just being on stage, but turning it around a little bit and being able to learn from somebody else. To me, that's the important part. And it's almost selfish because you're taking, getting something from somebody else, which ultimately makes you feel good. But generally, that's kind of the social bond that we have. Really.
Yeah.
How could you feel good if it's not by the benefit of somebody else?
Yeah, it was probably an episode of some 90s sitcom, I'm sure, but I just remember this quote, like, there's truly no selfless act. because no matter what you do, whether that's volunteering your time or being of service to someone in some way, just lending your ear, you're being of service and it's making you feel good, hopefully, and that's okay. That's totally okay. I agree. I think whatever version of being of service, like that's the whole point.
Sure.
In my mind.
And it can be explained unromantically and biologically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we are just the very gussied up romantic version of biological happenings.
You're the gussy up version.
You know,
I'm the thrift store version. And that's okay.
Where there's a goodwill, there's a way.
Oh, very nice.
I was thinking Mario Lopez as soon as you said
Yep.
90s.
I was like, maybe it was Friends. Maybe it was, who knows? It was one of those.
I think I might have. Reciprocal altruism is something that you learn about in is it the study of humanity, anthropology? Yeah. So something we learn about ourselves as we evolve from primates is that we might do nice things, but it could also be selfish. Don't we all have to exist in some way, shape, or form? So are we altruistic if we expect something in return? Well, it doesn't stop you from being altruistic. By definition, maybe altruism means without expectation of reward, but that therein lies the quandary. The irony, excuse me. That's the irony of reciprocal altruism, because altruistic behavior is behavior that benefits others without expectation of return. However, I don't know if you notice this, but humans tend to be aggressively reciprocal.
Tell me more.
And we don't get shown this necessarily because we consume media at a disgusting rate. However, maybe take note the next time that you do something kind. Someone does something kind for you, right? You can do something kind for somebody else and never see them again. And that's the nature of the world that we live in nowadays. That's kind of crazy. However, when someone is kind to you, loans you money, loans you their vehicle, does something just genuinely kind to you, does you a favor, if you will, right? I find that most of us instinctively seek to return that. If not directly to that person, then to another.
Interesting. Because I feel probably most people assume the opposite, but you're saying most people want to give that back.
And so that, I guess, this is where we get caught up in semantics as well, because I don't think necessarily it is a want, desire, anything like that. I think programmed into us biologically. Like if you were to watch a group of primates, they groom each other, right? And upon being groomed, the chimp, our friend, our furry friend, our counterpart, they don't just walk off and then continue eating bananas, right? They go and groom the person back, or groom another person, or then go care for a child, or go and get food for the other.
Do you watch documentaries at night? Like what voracious? Yeah, no, vocab is yours. Like take the W, my friend. You get out the W. So furry friend, yes.
Yes. I think that we don't consciously do this. And unfortunately it happens. We're very reciprocal. I didn't specify for better or for worse.
I see.
Now when you go out into the world and observe, right? Even when we're not operating at our best.
Yeah.
We are just putting back out into the world what we received, whether that's perceptive or realistic. Like for example, when you're hungover, you feel like shit. You might act like shit. The world isn't hurting you. You hurt yourself. However, you're reflecting that hurt onto your environment the next day. And I'm using myself as a
no, I get it.
And when I think it's important for people to understand that, whether you look at it through a lens of scientific observation of human behavior or simple mindfulness, Eastern thought, Platonic thought, I think it's important for people to understand how people work. And a lot of us don't.
Are you worried about the state of technology and that fun 2-letter word with 2 vowels that everyone's obsessed with right now that I'm so sick of talking about?
I think that this might be a little sci-fi. I think that AI is going to decide that we need to be babysat and put back in the forest.
Okay.
There are way too many of us now. I'm not saying we need to reduce the numbers. I'm just saying that this is not our natural habitat, the
Okay.
world in which we're inhabiting now.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to just be out in the forest camping personally.
It's the natural state of people is to live in bands and tribes and subsist. That gives you the best joy. Being out in the forest, even if you're starving. I don't know if you've ever been in the forest after a day or two of no food, but the world is ineffably beautiful. It's
Have
incredible.
you been out in the forest without food frequently?
I'm a United States Marine. That's part of the job.
Everything is starting to click. I gotcha.
But as a amateur student of like humans,
Yeah.
I think that, well, I know now we have the fossil record to prove that we already peaked as a species.
Yeah.
So when it comes to technology is a tool. We are Homo faber. We are the tool makers and the tool users. But we're not defined by our tools. I feel like we are defined by the social networks that we live in and create. And the current world that we live in has accelerated so much in a matter of generations. I mean, our grandparents, maybe our great-grandparents, didn't have cars, you know?
Yeah.
Electricity was limited, right? We were just starting to learn about sanitation and vaccination and, you know, how to not die from eating the wrong foods. A couple hundred years ago, that's nothing in historical history.
Yeah.
So humans are either going to thrive or be managed by our technology. I'm leaning towards managed.
Are you a pessimist, an optimist, a realist, a chemist, an alchemist? I got there.
In the folders?
100% the tabs.
In which context? In what?
That's a good one. I suppose, I don't know. You strike me as someone that dresses up for the job, of course. But I don't know. I get the sense that who you are outside of this place, outside of your work, isn't too far off from who you are behind the bar and the way that you talk with people. So
Sure.
You strike me as someone who's authentic across all spaces. So I guess
That's
in
very kind of
general,
you.
Rations.
Authenticity is not necessarily a positive.
Too true. In this case, I think it's a big positive. But yeah, I suppose in general, like if you had to put your vote down for who I am as a person, optimist, pessimist, realist.
Put my vote down for myself or for you. I think you're a seeker, and it's really incredible in that you have the capacity to ask and listen, which is something that I'm still working on, if you will. And like for the sake of what we're doing here, I'm not trying to grill you. However, that could come at another time. Either way, I feel like if we're looking at a worldview, it's really tough. Like I don't want to deign to be pessimistic, but I feel like we are navigating completely uncharted waters these days. Our food environment's terrible. Our social environment is terrible. We're exposed to far too much information at any given time to where we can't process almost any of it.
Agreed.
And when I do try to have a conversation like this with most people out in the world, it doesn't work. Remember the vibrations?
Yeah.
It's like talking to static. And I feel as if we just do our best to cope with other people coping with their environment.
So I think we found I don't know if it's metaphor is the right term, but going back to our comment about me shaking people violently to get them to relax and you getting them to calm down, I think we are both individuals that help people navigate the vibrations.
Sure.
In a positive and hopefully meaningful way.
Hopefully. If in the entirety of, ultimately, it depends on your perspective, our short or our long life, if you could have helped, 1, 2, 3 people, that's 3 times as many people as you are.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good, I would say.
Yeah.
And I think that like the better thinkers of our past have also kind of shared that idea. And it's interesting in that we are a species, the only species as far as I know, that literally can learn from the past. Every other species has to do it genetically.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So any animal discovers behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
and it may or may not pass on, but either it gets encoded in genetics or it disappears. Humans write shit down. And I have a whole TED talk about that. I'm not saying it was a great idea, but we do.
We have a few TED Talks among us. I can see that. Yeah.
We record things, we write them down, hopefully to be of use
Yeah.
to someone else.
Hopefully.
Like,
I'm not that self-indulgent.
I mean, if I don't know what kind of numbers you're pushing, but like if a couple thousand people, consume your content.
Yeah.
And a handful of them, hopefully, right, might walk away and have a different perspective
Yeah.
on how they think or how they communicate with others.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a win.
Agree. I saw a meme or something recently, or just a picture on the internet that was breaking down 200, 2,000, and 20,000 people and showed pictures of each. And 200 people is still a fuck ton of people just sitting in a room. So when you talk about potential for impact and influence, I like that a lot. It helps me keep things in perspective because I always want to leave people feeling better than when I started.
And that's an incredible aim. And I think that a lot of what people do, and I'm not trying to project anything on you, which is why I did not Google you, but a lot of it can be thankless.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you then.
Yeah. That's
why do you do this, right? Your podcast series, this kind of thing. Talk to people when you could just be talking yourself or writing books or what have you.
I suppose working backwards, my immediate thought is I don't find myself all that interesting. So I would never aim to just put out any form of content that just came from me because, I mean, we all have stories and I know mine is one of many beautiful ones out there, but I find everyone else fascinating. I do it because it happens quite naturally, whether I ever wanted it or not. I build relationships really quickly. I build trust really quickly. And I think that's beautiful and my superpower.
The words out of my mouth. I was going to say like a really good monkey, but superpower, that's even better.
I'll take that. I'll take that all day. Yeah. Someone recently told me that I'm a reflector.
Sure.
So I'm, for better or for worse, I typically am a mirror that people hold up, and sometimes they see great things in themselves. Sometimes they see not so great things.
That's an interesting perspective there.
Mm-hmm. So I do it because I believe, in particular, as it relates to my business, there are businesses, small businesses that missions and visions matter, and they deserve a stage and a spotlight. Nonprofit organizations as well, and everything that's happening in Arizona right now, such a growing economy, but there's a lot of stakeholders involved that don't necessarily get as much airtime as the rest. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just a collector and sharer of stories.
Reflector.
Yeah.
If you will.
Yeah.
Right? That's good. That's good. I think that we need people like that. I think it's difficult for a lot of us to recognize those among us who actually make life worth reflecting upon.
Sure.
And so I think that being a communicator, even if it's in reflecting others, is, like you said, a superpower. And I was talking to a friend the other day, and they're a young person, which I don't necessarily see this a lot, especially in the younger people, maybe because I'm old, I don't know. But they're actively listening to me at a bar, music up, drinks in hand, listening to me. And I'm like, I stopped myself because I can just go.
Yeah.
I stopped myself. Brother, that is your superpower, because that makes people bond. I can chatter, you can chatter. I don't know if you walk by a group of people sitting at brunch and realize that out of 1,000 words, they've said nothing. Yeah. And heard maybe even less. To be able to listen to someone and understand what they're saying or their intent, or even just learn from their body language, however it comes. That is a superpower, to be able to take something outside of yourself and then make it part of your knowledge. And that can sound really selfish. But if we're all doing it, then we're all improving whatever our self is. Fair way to say.
Yes. Also, am I just now in this moment realizing the definition of the word speakeasy? Like creating a space where it's easy to speak to people in an intimate.
I'm glad that you said it out loud.
Is this happening right now?
If I were to do
35 years later.
If I were to do it, it might seem pedantic. But no, I love that you came to that, because you can't explain that to people. They have to experience it.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I love our off nights is because I can have real conversations and people can speak, and it's wild. So I work in one of the pretty rare circumstances in which I speak to strangers every single day.
Yeah.
And sometimes you see the opposite reflected even in media, right? But the media reflects art, reflects reality, right? Imitates life.
You were there. You were there.
So I try to think of the most banal example, and that's The Office. Okay, I love to hate that show.
I love to love that show.
It's a microcosm, though, and I think the irony was completely lost on the American audience. These are people in a fucking fishbowl.
Yeah.
Not like in that show, for example, it's an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
But they interact with each other in their fishbowl. So I think that is representative of modern Western society.
Yeah.
We live in our fishbowls. We speak bubbles to each other, but none of it makes it out, and none of it really matters, right? Like you can have 1,000 fishbowl and we're all fish, but we're not gaining anything from each other. Is that fair? So I think that people in the service industry, if we take the opportunity, some of us just do our job, but if we take the opportunity to recognize the power that comes from interacting with strangers, and if you can make that meaningful in less than an hour over a cocktail or two, and have someone kind of break out of their little shell, you know, the language, the vibration, whatever they're used to sharing with their usual environment, right?
Yeah.
The energy that we bring to our school or to our work or to home or to public or when we're road raging in the car, right?
Is that how you road rage? Is that the hand gesture you want to stick with?
Like you want to hit the horn, but you know that's only going to escalate things.
Of our lives.
Yeah. Like on the way here, I'm like, oh, I'm late. I got to meet Kate.
At least you got to rhyme. Also, all I'm thinking is how much I can't wait to edit a fishbowl over your head with blah, 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 blah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I'm a poet and didn't even know it. I've been saving all the dad jokes. I've been trying so hard.
So excited for the night you're going to have. If you're starting off with dad jokes, it's going to be an interesting night.
Yeah, the rest of my people, they're going to hear it tonight.
They'll love it. Your team.
Yes.
So I don't know them at all. Sure. I know you for the amount of today's conversation, but everyone seems like they truly care about showing up and coming to work.
Yes. Everyone here.
Yeah. And I don't think I have a question there. I think I just wanted to comment on that because I think, you know, sometimes the service industry, food and beverage, bars, they can get a bad rap.
Yes.
And as someone who's worked in that world, for good reason. Like sometimes there's restaurants in certain spaces you don't really feel proud or excited to show up at. But it seems to me that you have an incredible team that wants to be here. You serve a lovely product, and your customers thus far, the few times I've been here, seem pretty cool.
So I'm glad you mentioned that because most of us, the ones that are here, part of it is a labor of love. We're doing it for each other, and or we're doing it for the craft, and or we're doing it for the people.
Yeah.
For some of us, this is our social life, if you will.
Ooh.
And when we reflect, I see it starting to be reflected back now from our clientele. We are in a fairly urban type area, a little bit lower on the socioeconomic scale, if you will, in this area compared to where you might find a place like this.
Yeah.
I feel like we're already kind of curating our clientele, whether it's the same people who've now had that vibe check and now they come back here to get more of not just the cocktail, but like interacting with myself, interacting with John, being able to, you know, sit in this comfortable environment and have a different, you know, different music, different atmosphere, different feels, different conversations, right? The speaking being easier, if you will. I'm already seeing that. That's and awesome. We've only been doing this for like 7 months now.
Still so new and such a strong foundation.
I think it's important, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. To me, it's about curation, right? If you're in a position to, you know, like a museum person or a flower arranger or, you know, someone who does media, right? You take all the things, the one-dimensional things, and you gather them up and you arrange them in such a way that you have something bigger than the parts, right?
You got
You
it.
know where I'm going.
Yep. Larger than the sum of its parts.
Something more 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, if you will, right?
Yeah.
If you want to get weird, like, but it's fun. It's fun to be part of something that actually resonates rather than just punching a clock. Working for a faceless corporation is no fun. You're treated like a cog in a wheel, and the wheel often isn't even that great. Like if you're part of a Lamborghini, that's awesome, you know. But if you're a part of like Black Angus, like, ooh,
what car is this?
This is unique. I think that we are carrying a flag for both craft cocktails and for speakeasies and for like that unique environment. Humans seek novelty, and we've done it our entire lives. We're explorers. I mean, we left Africa 250,000 years ago and populated damn near the entire earth. Wild. Like, it's not comfortable to go find a new cave, right? Or to jump in a boat and paddle into what? Who knows? But we did it, and we've done it, and we have the proof. I mean, you go to the most remote islands in the Pacific, and there are either people there or evidence of them.
Yeah.
Thousands of miles away, right? We go and explore. So for me, places like this, they get to sate that novelty-seeking behavior in the modern primate. They might not have to travel across an ocean. They might not have to go into a literal cave, but people love finding new spaces. And that's something I can relate to. I love it. Like, I go to the lake in the summertime, and I try to go up every single cove, every single
all the nooks and crannies,
every nook and cranny, because that fulfills me. Maybe I'm spatially motivated.
Yeah.
And experience is experiential as well. Like I can say that I done been there, or I did this, or like I can
pay good money to hear you say I done been there in a serious situation.
Yeah, been there, done that. But it's fun, and those things I think add to our story. And then if you have enough cool stories, maybe you can share them with others, right? I think that's obviously one of the things that makes us special. I mean, for the most part, we're monkeys. We just tell stories. We're tied to our narratives. And I think using those narratives for good is probably what's going to save us from, Elon Musk or whatever people are afraid of nowadays.
The list is vast. How do you want people to feel when they're here?
Here at Alchemy, I would love for them to be, because if I just project my desires on someone else, I'm probably going to get diminished returns. I hope that they are in an inquisitive mindset. We do a lot of mind changing. Because people are normative creatures, right? We tend to do what's comfortable or what becomes comfortable. Notice there's no value added.
Yeah.
It could be good, could be bad, it could be whatever. It could be lights out.
It's fine. It's just mood lighting.
See, there you go.
We've transitioned, guys. The night is transitioning. The dancers will be here soon.
Has now dropped. Literally, actually.
Literally. This is perfect.
I feel like I want to create a space, regardless of whether I'm here working or whether I'm out in the world. And something I try to do is get people out of whatever their learned environment is and turn on your prefrontal cortex. Right? We can all go through the motions. We've been doing that for millions of years. Any mammal does it. We do it. We see it in other mammals. But what we have is the capacity not only to have a narrative, but to further a narrative and have conversations and be able to learn from each other. And that should be our superpower, And one of the good things about the technologies that we have is that any person, just about any person, can tap into that world of knowledge. It's just now we're inundated by alternatives. So it can be difficult to navigate.
Yeah.
Life was a lot simpler when we were hanging out in the woods with our friends. A little more dangerous, but arguably more fulfilling, I would say.
I would agree. This place is so, it does make me slow down. And I think honestly, when I came in here today, I'm like Friday afternoon, I've had all the caffeine today and this week, I'm sleep deprived, and I am like vibrating at a pretty high level. And then as you were talking, I was like, oh yeah, I'll just bring it down, like match the vibe. And as I'm sitting here talking with you, I feel so much more relaxed and at peace. And I haven't even had a cocktail yet. So I think you guys
Yes,
have
being
done
the
a
operative word.
yeah, I think you guys have done a really incredible job. And I know it's a team effort between the owners and you and the entire team, but I I hope one of the big takeaways that people get from this, especially anyone that's in business or building a brand or thinking about food and beverage, I would challenge them to embrace some of your approach and your mindset in the way that you just think about things. Like I'm a really big fan of unreasonable hospitality,
Right. Yeah.
and I'm a big fan of just creating spaces where people feel at home. And I think you've done a really good job of it.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
And it's an ongoing effort, you know.
that's the key, right?
Yeah. If you're not learning, then what are we doing here, right?
And from a customer service perspective, as you said earlier, people are always seeking out novelty and the new thing. So it's not like you can continue to do the same things year over year over year. You have to evolve.
Hopefully. Yeah. I think that's actually pretty prescient considering where we are as a society too. And that's a topic for a whole nother day.
All right, last question. So you already answered how you want people to feel when they're here at Alchemy,
Sure.
which is inquisitive. I'm curious, how do you want people to feel after an interaction with you? Or another way to think of it is, what do you hope people say about you when you're not in the room?
Oh, well, I know what they say. It's not always the kindest, which is fair.
Sharp dressed man, clean cut.
Sharp dressed guy, too smart for his own britches. I don't know. It kind of depends. I think that they're obviously we're all a work in progress, and I feel like I have some of my own rough edges to keep working on. And I would like to think that most people are at least that level of cognizant in that we're all trying to be better.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us just aren't. We're human. We're mortals. Like we act in a way that's largely shaped by our environments. And I think the best thing we can do to express our humanity is try our best to transcend that. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm a work in progress. Fair?
Very fair. You didn't answer the question, but
You're
it's
welcome.
very fair. I'll let it go. I'll let it go for a part two. You're very articulate. And I think occasionally, for someone who isn't dialed into it, you could have gotten it past me. But I cocked it. No. Is there anything I didn't ask that you wish I would have? Or anything you want to share that we didn't cover?
Honestly, I think that we've had a very organic conversation. And that's important. And I love that you at least come across as very genuine. And your inquisitive nature, I think, serves you well.
Thanks.
And I feel like you do have that power of, there's a magnifying effect or a multiplying effect by taking something in and then shining it back out, right? We're actually adding, rather than just reflecting.
Yeah.
It's a value add. You're a value add. There you go.
Can't wait to tell my mom. Put it on the resume. No, that's very kind. No one's ever said it quite like that before. And I will take that W. I will receive that. I don't always feel that way, but I appreciate it. Amen. Alrighty. Great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yay!